Hey guys, it's Shelby, and today I want to talk about some more zero waste swaps that no one else talks about. This is a little series here on my channel that I made where I talk about swaps that are great to make, that maybe people think about less, and that don't get talked about often enough. I have three other videos in this series already, so I'll link the series up here for you and in the description box if you want to go check out the other ones. I really love these videos because I feel like so many of you have commented and said you've never heard of these, or you've said that you've only heard of the disposable version of these. I love getting your perspective of whether you've heard of the disposable version for what we're talking about or the reusable version for what we're talking about. So let me know in the comments for each of these if you have or haven't heard of them. And also if you think there's a swap that doesn't get talked about enough that you want to see featured in one of these upcoming episodes, make sure you leave that in the comments as well, because a couple of the ones we're going to talk about today, you guys jogged my memory on, and I always appreciate it when you do that. Won't ramble on for too much longer, but I want to give a big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video without interfering about anything we're going to talk about. If you guys are looking to build an online store, website, or if you just need a domain, make sure you check out Squarespace with the link in the description. It can get you a discount. Actually, one more order of business, just so you guys know. If you missed the last episode of this series, it's because that video got demonetized. The video was doing really well. So many people were loving it. While it was monetized, it was doing really well. It got demonetized and it tanked. It completely stopped growing, which is so frustrating for someone who puts effort and time, research into these videos, and then for them to just tank. And more so than not even being able to make money off of that video, it sucks when I don't get to reach a new audience because I talked about sex a little bit and YouTube doesn't like that. So like I said, I'll link it. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I'll link it in the description too. Go check it out. But more than that, if you could just do me a favor really quick, stop, hit the like button on this video because it helps the YouTube algorithm, and since the last video suffered, I'd like this one to do pretty well. All right, now we will get into the swaps. This first one is something that you would think I would have talked about before, and as a matter of fact, I have talked about once before, probably years ago, but it is a collapsible coffee cup. I say that you would think I would have talked about it before because you guys know I love my collapsible grocery bags. I love my collapsible reusable straw, but I didn't love using the collapsible coffee cups. That's just personally me. I tend to either remember my reusable cup when I go out or just refuse to get a drink in general. It's okay. Coffee is not as necessary to me as using a straw to drink something or having a collapsible grocery bag on you at all times. I just don't love the collapsible cups, so I just use my regular ones. But I can totally see that if you live a different lifestyle than me, a collapsible coffee cup could be so usable, so helpful. So I decided I would mention them here. I'll link them below. If you guys have never seen these before, basically they collapse into little pucks, very small. They're super travel friendly and really easy to throw in pretty much any bag and not take up a lot of space. And then when you go to get not just coffee, any sort of drink, you can use that instead of getting a disposable. So if that sounds like something that could help you on your zero waste journey, definitely check them out. There are a few different brands. I'll link the one that I had before. Well, I still have it. I just don't use it that often. And if it works for you, it works for you. But not a lot of people talk about them. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever heard anybody else talk about them. So I thought I would mention them here because I know they can be helpful. Next one has to do with home improvement, which I have been so excited to share with you guys. If you didn't know, my partner and I used to live in a garage apartment, and we had all these ideas and all these things we wanted to do. And then we bought a house and we were like, okay, we're going to do all these projects. Honestly, there's so much just in maintaining a house that doing all these eco projects takes time, but we recently installed a reusable air filter, and that is a swap that I have never seen anyone else talk about. I didn't even know existed before I did a video with Home Depot a few months ago, actually probably 6 months ago now. I'll link that video here if you haven't seen it. We installed a rainwater barrel, which was so much fun, but during that whole process I found out they had reusable air filters, so we bought one. We recently installed it in a vlog. Again, if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it here for you, but we haven't taken it out to test it out, how it is to clean it out and all that stuff just yet. I'll keep you updated in the day in the life videos on all of that good stuff. But whether you're renting something or you own the home, a reusable air filter is something anyone can put into their AC unit or their heating units. Some people commented that weren't from the US and asked if air filters are common. Apparently in some places they're not. Here in Texas, air conditioner is a necessity, so I've never met anyone that didn't have an air filter, but different perspectives, different lives, I get it. So if you don't need an air filter at all, that's totally fine, but if you are someone who uses air filters, there are reusable ones out there, and I just think that is so freaking cool, and I've never seen anyone talk about them before, so I'll have them linked below, as well as the video where we installed them, so you can go check it out. And like I said, I'll keep you updated on how it goes when I'm replacing them, and we can see how easy it is or whatever, if I have any tips or hacks about them. So yeah, I just thought that was a really, really cool swap to mention. So check it out. They have them in all different sizes. You could probably find one for your air conditioner. Next thing I want to talk about is not necessarily a zero waste swap, but I think it's a much lower waste swap than the alternatives. So I'm gonna explain. So you guys know that I buy all of my tech secondhand, like the camera I'm talking to you on right now, secondhand, my laptop, my other cameras, my phone, all my tech, secondhand. Secondhand for the win. And a lot of times when you buy things secondhand, specifically my phone, it didn't come with a charger, like a lightning cable charger, okay? So for a long time, I was using one that was really old and literally falling apart. It was probably not even low-key a fire hazard. And then recently, Madison bought me a cordless charger. Now, the reason I think this is so cool and why I think it's a lower waste swap is because we all know that over time, using our cords, plugging them, unplugging them, packing them into things, rolling them up and taking them with us, our cords end up like fraying and looking quite scary, like my old one, like I said. And then we end up having to replace them. Same thing goes for when we switch phones, when we have to replace our phones, maybe we get a different charger. Lord knows somewhere along the line, Apple's gonna come out with another kind of charger and we're gonna have to get another kind of cord. But recently, Madison bought me, like I said, a cordless charger. And that charger I can use on any phone I ever get from here on out. I don't have to keep buying cords. I don't have to worry about them breaking, frilling, catching on fire. And it's a swap that I can keep forever. And actually, the brand that she bought me one from is from a brand called Nimble, and they make their items from recycled materials, which I think is so stinking cool. I really love them as a brand, and I've never worked with them before. They don't really know who I am, but on their website, they have a general discount code where you can get $10 off with the link I'm gonna have in the description. So I'm not saying run out right now and get a cordless charger, but next time your charging cord bites the dust, think about getting this one that can replace all of your chargers from here on out. Also, it's just like a little bit more fun to have a cordless charger in your bedroom than having those cords everywhere, and it looks a lot more neat, if I do say so myself. And that's not something I would expect anyone else to talk about in a zero waste swap video. It's kind of a roundabout way that is lower waste, but I felt like it was something I could mention in this video. So if you're interested in that, you could check those out. This next thing is rechargeable batteries. You guys, batteries are so bad for the planet. In general, a lot of people throw them out and put them in their recycling, actually thinking they can be recycled in your curbside, and they cause all kinds of problems in our recycling stream. In fact, they can explode in recycling facilities, and it's really, really dangerous for us to put those in the recycling bin. And then if we put them in the landfill, they leach toxic chemicals. They can get into our groundwater if the landfill has any issues. If they end up getting into the ground just in general outside, if they fall out of your trash can, they can cause a lot of issues in the environment. So it is terrible to use single-use batteries. So what's the swap that people never talk about? Rechargeable batteries. I feel like batteries can come into play in so many areas of our lives that maybe you're not thinking about, like remotes, toys, cameras, me looking around to see if anything else I have is battery operated, but I don't think so. Whatever it is in your home that you use batteries for, chances are there's a rechargeable version of it. Now, not all batteries have rechargeable versions, but the mainstream ones and the most popular ones, which are AA's, definitely have rechargeable batteries. And then in the long run, obviously it's cheaper because you're not constantly having to go and buy new batteries for your things. So yeah, I'm gonna have some links below so you can check them out. I just feel like those do not get talked about nearly enough. And last time I mentioned them somewhere, I think in an anti-haul, I anti-hauled single-use batteries, and people commented that they had no idea that rechargeable batteries existed. So I definitely think they need to be talked about more, they need to be used more, and I'm gonna link them in the description if you didn't know they existed and if you need to pick some up for yourself. Next thing is a soda stream. Have you ever thought about the fact that a soda stream is basically a way to get all the sodas you could ever want without all the packaging? My aunt was recently getting rid of her soda stream. She's one of those people who buys into all the gimmicks. So when soda stream was a gimmick, she bought them for the gimmick. But she texted our family group text if anybody would be interested in taking her soda stream off of her hands, and I thought about it and I was like, It's actually a pretty cool swap to get like flavored drinks, not just soda. You can make all kinds of things in the SodaStream. And it's a lot less waste than buying any of those things in a plastic bottle or even in an aluminum can. So I will say we haven't used it a ton yet. I am interested to see how it goes, but a SodaStream is definitely an option if you're someone who does drink soda on a regular basis, or maybe like my dad. My dad goes through an obscene amount of Diet Cokes. So if I could get him to switch to the SodaStream, I know it would be a lot less wasteful for him. So if anybody in your life is like that, or if you're like that, a SodaStream is definitely something to consider. You can find them secondhand quite often. I've seen them in thrift stores, I've seen them on Facebook and like OfferUp and stuff like that. So definitely always check secondhand first, like I always say, but I'm gonna have one linked below because I link everything I talk about. So if you've never thought about that before, here I am to tell you that a SodaStream is definitely a lower waste option for soda, but also just for bubbly water. Like Madison loves bubbly water with like a hint of lime. I've also been trying to get into it over the past year, but instead of buying Topo Chico in glass bottles, now we're going to try to make it with our SodaStream. So there you go. And last but not least, this is a zero waste swap that I've never heard anyone else talk about except for myself. I've talked about it once before. If you know which video that was in, let me know. I'll link it below so that you can learn more about them if you want to learn about it. This video is not sponsored, not at all, but I do have a discount code with Care of, and it's really interesting because I've actually anti-hauled Care of in the past. Those little packets of individual vitamins seemed so wasteful to throw away a little plastic packet every single day. But did you know that Care of changed their packaging kind of recently, within the last year or so, to compostable packets? Those little plastic packets are made from cornstarch, a plant-based plastic, and they are certified compostable in your at-home composting as well as in industrial compost facilities, which I just think is so stinking cool. I did, like I said, work with them once upon a time, but I haven't worked with them since, but I've been using them since because I think it is probably the lowest waste way to get vitamins. Like most vitamins come in plastic pill bottle things, you know, and a lot of those bottles are colored in a way that make it really hard to recycle them. So getting vitamins in a way that are compostable packaging is really good. And even the box like Care of came in, there was no plastic in sight. It was very minimally packaged, and I just think that is a really, really cool way to get vitamins, on top of the fact that you can customize the packets to what you need. Like you go through this survey, figure out what you would need, and you take those instead of taking maybe like all these ones that you think you need that you really don't. So yeah, and I think a lot of people don't know that, and I actually, like I said, I've anti-hauled those types of vitamins before, and when they reached out to me to sponsor that video back then, I told them, no, I can't work with you because this is incredibly wasteful, and they were like, actually, our stuff has changed and it's all compostable, and I was like, oh my God, that's literally like the coolest thing I've ever heard. And I don't think a lot of people even know that that's what's happening over there. So I figured I would mention it in this video because, again, this video is about zero waste swaps that no one talks about, and that is definitely one of them. So those are all of the swaps I had to share with you today. Like I said, I would love to hear in the comments if you did or didn't know about these things, and if you have any more swaps that you think don't get talked about enough that you'd like to see in the next episode of this video. The next video of these series, the next episode of this series. Like I said, I'm gonna have all the previous episodes linked in the description, so I really would appreciate it if you go check them out. And I want to give one more huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, which is Squarespace. So let's talk a little bit about them. Like I said, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform, so you can look to them to build an online store, website, or even just if you need to purchase a domain. Squarespace makes setting up a website super easy because you don't need to learn coding. They already have some beautiful templates over there that you can customize to be exactly what you're looking for. Squarespace makes it easy to connect your social media and to also take advantage of their blogging tools. You can do email campaigns through Squarespace because it is an all-in-one platform, like I mentioned. With their 24-hour customer service and traffic insight tools, it makes it the easiest way to build a website on the internet today. So when you're ready to launch, head over to squarespace.com/Shelbizleee for 10% off of your first purchase.